Hello, RJR Piano. Today I'm going to talk about Jingle Bells, level 1, and just how I would look at this piece of music and how I would learn it. What's the best ways, what are some tricks, and then I'll actually play the piece so you can see how I play it. So first, what I like to do before I sit down at the piano is just do a little bit of some score study. So I'm going to actually just look at the score and analyze a couple things before I sit down at the piano so that I don't waste time when I'm at the keyboard trying to read it. So I will begin by looking at the key signature, which is common time, so it's going to be 4 beats per measure. And then I also see the key signature has 1 F sharp, which means this is in G major. So I know that at the piano, I'm going to have my hands in G position. And it doesn't really look like it's going to move out of that G position. So I just know that my hands will be here for the whole time. So I'm looking through the piece. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I need to take note of. And I would probably take note of the C sharp in the left hand in the second line, because that's something new, that's something different. I'm going to play that with my 2 finger, it says. So if I see where C is, I know it's up a half step because it's a sharp. So that's what that note is going to be. Another way that you can look at this piece is just isolating the hands. So you can just start by looking at your right hand and just look at it 1 line at a time before you start to put it together. If it seems like a lot, you just break it down into smaller sections and it will be way easier to play when you put it all together. So if we just look at the first line, let's just isolate the right hand right now. I can already say that the first 2 measures are exactly the same, right? So I don't need to learn something new between the first and second measure. Then I also see that the notes are stacked on each other, so it means that I play them at the same time. And luckily they gave me finger numbers, so I know what to do. So I know I'm in G position, so my thumb will always be on G. And then I'm using 1 and 3, so that's the chord that it's going to begin with. And then I look after, okay, so it's got some half notes, they're the same. Then the third measure is also using that same chord. So that's the sort of thing you want to look at. Now let's look at the second line and maybe kind of analyze what the left hand's doing. So I see I've got a 4 finger starting that out. So maybe you'll think about what you're going to play that D with, and so obviously I'm going to play it with a thumb, so it's going to go 4, 1, 4, and then we go down to 5, and then we're going back to the same note up high. That's still going to be a 1 finger. And then we have that special C sharp that I now know is right here because I looked at it beforehand. And then you can see we go up to 1, and those are just stepwise down, I can see. So I just know that it's going to go right down the scale. If I look at the next line, I can see that it's actually exactly the same as the first line of music. So good news, I don't have to learn anything new on this line of music. So that should save you some time at the piano. And then the last line, it's got some similar motion to the second line, but I noticed in the last 2 measures it's a little bit different. I've got 2 half notes in the left hand, and I have that measure, or that beat of rest also in the left hand that I need to keep an eye out for. So that means I'm not going to play while I play the right hand, and then I'll play the left hand. So that's one way to sort of look at the music and analyze it a little bit before you sit down to play. It should help you be able to put your hands together if you can break it down measure by measure, line by line, and just start looking at it with one of your hands, because I know that all of you know how to do that at this point. So if 2 lines of music is overwhelming, just start with 1, and then once it feels right, you can start to see how the 2 lines of music work together. So for example, in the first measure, I see that I have a quarter note a quarter note and a half note in both of my hands. So I know that my hands are going to be moving exactly the same way, and they're going to be playing at the same time, just pressing down different notes. And then if you see, by the time I get to the third and fourth measure, I have something where my left hand plays, but my right, and it stays down while my right hand moves, and then my right hand stays while my left hand moves. So those are the sort of things that you want to look at when you're just sitting down with the score for music before you sit down to play it. Because if you notice those things, it's actually going to be a lot easier to actually play it when you sit down to do it. So I'm going to now play it so you can hear what it sounds like and see what position my hands are in and how what fingers I use. So hopefully that will help a little bit. 1, 2, ready, go.